Hello and welcome to the CEO of Starve channel. My name is Indacia, the CEO. The purpose of this program is to educate you on the importance of financial literacy and entrepreneurship. And it's so very much important to me is because it is a topic that rarely gets discussed in our school districts. It's a topic that rarely gets discussed in our household. So because of that, I made it my priority to put together a program that talks about these two things. On today's topic, we're going to be talking about how to overcome the silent income killer. Now, when we go to work for a variety of different things, right? We go to work to put food on our table, to provide a household for our kids, and to just, work to get ahead and work trying to establish something for themselves. That's what most Americans are doing, right? Trying to live the American dream. And it's important that you understand the cycles that we go through when it comes to the economy, right? So we have to understand that your personal finances is your own priority, and it's a lifelong journey. Understanding that it's a journey that's going to, that you're constantly there's going to be ups and downs. You're going to be learning, especially if you're coming from a family that, that it wasn't taught. It wasn't taught about financial literacy, wasn't like the topic of the household, you know what I mean? Which is a common thing. A lot of people just want to be able to take care of bare necessities. So understanding that is very important. So the silent income killer that we all must recognize and all must learn to deal with is inflation. So inflation, as it's defined, is a general increase in prices and a fall in the purchasing value of money, right? So in simpler terms, when the price of goods go up, but the value of the dollar stays the same, that is inflation, right? Because that dollar does not spend the same as it did previously. So for prime example, without revealing my age, when I was growing up, I'm still a young man, so I can tell you how old I am, but when I was growing up, in the 90s, you can go to a bodega, right? So we live in the East Coast, you know what I mean? So bodegas is what we know, right? We don't have, like gas. We have gas stations, but bodega, right? So when I would go to the bodega, you'd be able to go in the bodega with $1 and leave out there with a juice, a Snicker bar, a bag of chips, and a little penny candy, right? Now, you go into that same bodega, not even a different store, you go into the same bodega with that $1, and you may come out there, luckily, if with just a bag of chips, right? So that's inflation. That's what we need to understand. When the price of goods stay the same and the value of the dollar goes up, then, there's an imbalance there, and we need to make sure that the way that we're making our money is at pace of inflation, right? And we are having multiple streams of income, because depending on one source of income is dangerous to your financial health. You can't depend on solely just from earned income, from the income that you generate from working or having a 9-to-5. It's highly advisable to have some sort of extra skill set, whether if it's sewing, whether if it's, being a tutor, whether if it's something that you can do without depending on, one source of income. It's very highly advisable. And also learning a skill set like trading in the stock market, right? Learning how to invest in stocks is very important. So I'm gonna be going through some of these terms in the program. So it's very important that we understand that. So along the lines, what I was speaking of is investments, right? So an investment is the action or process of investing money for profit or material result, right? So if I take $100 and I invested in, let's say, T-shirts, right? I invested in a bunch of blank T-shirts. I'm gonna turn around and take those T-shirts that I purchased and put my brand on them or put a brand on them, and I'm gonna resell them, right? That's an investment. It's as simple as that. Investment doesn't always have to be huge, doesn't always have to be humongous and, so, how can I say, it doesn't have to be so extravagant, right? A lot of times people think about investing or like, oh, I can't invest, I don't have the money to invest, I can't invest. No, you can invest. Investment, it can, like I said, can be as small as investing in T-shirts, investing in coffee mugs, right? And going around and selling those coffee mugs or T-shirts for a profit. So everybody has that ability. Everybody, has that ability to be an investor, to invest in a product or service, right? And generate some income. So that's a way that you can fight inflation, right? By doing that, by having that as a side business or a side hustle that can help generate some income. You might be short on a bill or something like that, and that extra $50, $75, $100 or whatever you make from whatever product that you offer or sell can go a long way. You know what I mean? Now, when it comes to building a business, then that's going to be more of an investment. It's going to be more time and energy put into it. So I spoke on it. I touched on it a little bit earlier. Stocks, right? So a stock is a fractional ownership of a corporation in which a corporation gives its investor shares, right? So, for example, my iPhone, right? My iPhone here. This iPhone is traded on the public market. Apple is a public market company, right? And with that, there have people that can invest in publicly traded companies. Apple as an example. And when you invest into these publicly traded companies, if the market is going good, you will generally make money. You know what I mean? In the stock market, if you invest in certain stocks, the likelihood of those stocks, not totally plummeting is very good. Like the S&P 500, right? These stocks have historically been known to make profit at a certain percentage over years, right? So, that's a skill set. Learning how to invest in stocks is an absolute skill set. You know what I mean? And if you can pick that skill set up, then, you can work towards fighting inflation. You can work towards producing and generating extra income for yourself. So that's what it's about. That's what it's really, really about. It's about picking up an extra skill set. Education doesn't always have to come from a college. It doesn't always have to come from, higher learning per se in an institution. It can come from, self-educating yourself, reading a book, reading books. This is how you get information. And understanding that we live in 2023. There is nothing that is not accessible to us at this particular moment if you live in this country, right? If you live in America, you have everything pretty much accessible at your hands to learn and to pick up information. So it's very, very important that we learn an extra skill set besides working a 9-to-5 job. So there is something called compound interest in the stock market. Now, this is the interest you earn on interest. For example, if I have $100 and it earns 5% interest each year, you'll have $105 at the end of the first year. At the end of the second year, you'll have $110.25. All right, so once you understand that when you get good in the stock market, when you get good at investing, then you understand that your money is going to make money for you. And this is, I think, what's his name? Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein, right? He is known for saying compound interest is the Now, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I think he said it's the ninth wonder of the world or seventh wonder of the world, something like that. Something profound like that, he said. And it's really true, you know what I mean? It's like understanding that the way that the economy works and the way that the stock exchange works is that once you invest your money into it for long term, then your money begins to make money for you, compound interest. So that interest keeps compounding on the interest that you make money off of. So this is something that I know I wasn't taught growing up. I wasn't privy to growing up, and I'm learning about these things now. Because like I said, I'm taking it upon myself to learn as much as I can about financial literacy and all the things that I can do to help generate more income for myself. And this is something that I want to introduce to kids early on, especially kids from the inner city, because I know a lot of kids from the inner city, they're growing up like I did. These are hardworking families, people that are, doing what they have to do to make sure they can put food on the table and survive. So a lot of times they may not have, and especially in this day and age, may not have the attention span to, because of having so much on their plate to learn certain things, right? Or somebody to introduce them to certain things. So I want to take it upon myself to continue to do this program and continue to just, if nothing else, be a spark for someone to lead them in that direction. You know what I mean? It's just that's really, really important for me because, like I said, I understand that the lack, of intentionality that has been when it comes to certain communities, and so I'm just trying to do my part. So when you talking about investments and when you're talking about entrepreneurship, right? You have to understand and know what a limited liability company is. A limited liability company is a business structure in the U.S. that protects its owners from personal responsibility for its debts or liabilities. Right, so LLC is the other common name that's known for it. That's an abbreviation for a limited liability company. And it's very important that you are privy to what an LLC is and its functionality. For the simple fact that, it's going to position you in the proper way, right? It's going to position you in a way that is going to protect your personal assets if you're selling a product or service. One of the luxuries or one of the benefits of living in America is that you have the right to sell a product or a service. That's a fundamental right to every U.S. citizen. You have that right, right? Living in a democracy, living under capitalism, you have the right to sell a product or service. Now, with that being said, it is your obligation to understand the legalities around selling that product or service. Certain industries require a certain type of documentation. Certain industries require certain type of licenses. So one of the sure ways to protect your personal assets or protect yourself from any type of liability is to have an entity structure, not just to sell a product or service, just to sell a product or service, right? Not to be a sole proprietor, be a actual company. You know what I mean? It's very, very important to operate that way. So I tell all of the people that I've worked with, and helped out that, this is very critical and important that you're doing this. You know what I mean? Because like I said, this is going to put you in a position to be viewed as a actual legitimate business as opposed to just it being like a hobby or something that you're doing on the side. You know what I mean? And being able to have that entity structure in place to protect your personal assets it's a wonderful thing. You know what I mean? It's something that, can take you a long way. You know what I mean? It can really, really put you in position to do a lot of different things, man. And most importantly, it's going to make sure that when you're conducting your business and you're doing business, that you don't have to worry about your personal assets being taken from you. Now, with that being said, you know, there are ways that, you know, crafty or experienced lawyers can go around your LLC, you know what I mean, to whereas though it's called piercing the corporate veil, whereas though that if you're not running and operating your business the way that it is supposed to be ran, then you can be your personal assets can be liable, right? So when you set up these businesses, you have to make sure you're doing things. So doing one thing, right? That's just one component of it, but you have to make sure that you're doing the rest of the important things that go along with it, right? Like setting up a business checking account. So having an LLC in itself, it's a great thing, but if you don't have a business checking account that goes with it, then the document in itself is really null and void. You know what I mean? So understanding that, you know, when it comes to making sure that you have all your ducks in a row is very important. You know what I mean? So that's something that you want to consult with somebody that has the experience, you know, and not just going on these websites and just doing these documents because it seems like the fad or it seems like the trendy thing to do. Actually seek people that are doing the work, that have done the work, that can guide you along the process, that's going to be able to show you how to operate your business legitimately in the right way and to protect yourself. So a bond, right? So a bond in finance is a type of security under which the issuer owes the holder a debt. The issuer is obligated, depending on the terms, to repay the principal of the bond at the maturity dates, as well as interest over a specified amount of time. So you can get a bond through most of your financial institutions. You can get it through brokerages, brokerage investors, you know, and a bond is something that it's like a hedging type of type of ordeal, right? Whatever, like you put some finances into something, you can hedge that finance and earn interest on it. You know what I mean? And it's a type of security. You know what I mean? It helps a person once they put that bond in to you know, to make money against that bond as it matures, you know, with whomever you take that bond out with, right? That's something that, you know, you want to speak to a professional about. You want to make sure that, you know, you understand, you know, what the interest you're going to be getting, what the interest is going to come from that bond, right? So your expectations can be aligned. It can be in a real place. You know what I mean? It's all about setting the right expectations and understand that you're not going to get rich overnight. You know what I mean? Rich or becoming wealthy is a long process, right? And understanding about the importance of assets, you know what I mean? It's going to be very hard to be rich without having assets, you know what I mean? Or just being financially, I say, free or financially secure without having assets and having ownership. So it's very important that we dive into all of the financial instruments that we have available to us, because these things are out here, right? This information is out here. So some of the benefits of having a bond. A bond can provide predictable income stream if bonds are held to maturity. Bondholders get back the entire principal, so bonds are a way to preserve capital while investing. So as I mentioned, once you take out that bond, you know, it's going to earn interest for you as it matures, and you know, you'll be able to get back not only the principal, but the interest that you earned on top of the principal of that bond. So it's a very good way of investing. It's a crafty way of investing. You know what I mean? That's something that you should look more into, that if that sounds like a way for you to generate more income. Now, this is the tried and true method that has been around since beginning of man, which is real estate. Real estate, real estate, real estate. that ain't gonna ever go anywhere. As long as there's people and human beings on this planet Earth, they're gonna need somewhere to live, they're gonna need somewhere to do their business. All right, so real estate is property consisting of land and the buildings on it, along with its natural resources, such as crops, minerals, or water, in which you have interest vested. So that's one cool thing about real estate. See, I took real estate classes. I was actually going to become a realtor, and which I still may become a realtor, get my realtor license. But one thing they teach you is that when you purchase a property, when you buy a property, you don't only own what's on top of the land, you also own what's underneath the land, right? And in certain areas where you purchase property, especially in the commercial realm, you actually own the air rights. So when you go to like these big cities like New York, San Francisco, Philadelphia, when you go to these big cities, you see these high skyscrapers. These people own the air rights, so they can build even higher if they wanted to, which is like crazy. How can you own air? But it's called something called air rights. So real estate, like I said, is a true and tied way of making money. You know what I mean? And it's something that everybody, if you're fortunate enough, should own a piece of land, should own a piece of real estate, because it can change the trajectory of your whole family just owning some type of property. And last but not least, credit. Credit is like the whole gamut to this whole thing, right? If you understand nothing else, if you understand credit, then you can change your situation, change your finances in rapid time. Credit is a tool. Credit is a way that you could leverage. That is the beauty of credit, that allows you to leverage, right? So credit is the ability of a customer to obtain goods or services before payment based on the payment that will be made in the future, right? So as I was saying, it's a way for you to leverage, right? It's very, very important that if you don't understand anything else, is that you understand credit, because that's going to determine your life. That's going to determine your quality of life. It's going to determine the neighborhood you live in. It's going to determine the school zone your kids are raised in. It's going to determine all these different things. So credit is something that should be taught in every school. Should be taught in every institution that calls themselves higher education. Credit should be a class. How to manage your credit, how to leverage your credit, how to use your credit to buy assets, right? Not use it just for consumption, right? That should be taught in every single classroom, and it's a shame that it's not. You know what I mean? That in itself alone can change your whole situation. You know what I mean? So again, these were ways to fight inflation. I hope and I pray that one of these actually spoke to you, that one of these actually, resonated with you, that you can see, or all of them resonated with you, that you can see yourself entering and learning more about and applying it to your life. Because I said, depending on one source of income is dangerous to your financial health, right? There's no such thing as job security. That's just the reality of it. Whether if you like it or not, there's no such thing as job security. At any given moment, you can lose your job. So you want to have something to fall back up on. You want to have something that's going to help you earn additional money. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in to my program, the CEO of Starve Channel, Connecting the Dots to Success. And remember this before you guys go. Vision without action is merely a dream. All right? Vision without action is merely a dream. So if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. It's Indation the CEO signing out. Peace.